Welcome to Tla'ukat Hahusli and Tribal Parks.
We're here to learn, share with each other, think about, and figure out how are we going to move forward with this Pathway to Canada Target 1.
Uklas Cléta is Dakshik Huzak Soups nu channel Toops Mamuk for Parks Canada as their National Director of National Natural Resource Conservation. My name is Nadine Crooks and I am the co-chair of the National Steering Committee for Canada Target 1. This is a really exciting process. We are working together with provinces and territories, with Indigenous peoples, with local governments and many others to really explore some solutions collectively that we can take in terms of conserving biodiversity, not only for today but for generations to come.
This international social innovation that extends the ideas of justice to the environment is the founding social contract of the country that we know today as Canada. Through the era of reconciliation, it behooves us to do the philosophical archaeology, to dig down into that bedrock jurisdiction upon which all other jurisdictions in this country rest upon.
A very diverse group of people have come here to Tla'ukat territory to gather, to work together, and working on Canada's Target 1 to meet the 17% of protected areas by 2020.
The Indigenous Circle of Experts has been assembled to say to the governments of Canada, this is our best advice and these are our recommendations on how you can fulfill your targets and your commitments to the international community in the spirit and practice of reconciliation with Indigenous peoples in Canada.
I talk about new ways of doing things. These Indigenous conservation areas or Indigenous-led conservation areas as being a new way of doing things, but actually it's a recognition of old ways of doing things, and it's great to hear about the important work that's been going on here recently in a current context, but hearing back how it goes back generations after generations after generations, and the ties to the land that the people of this area have. It's very inspiring, and I think it's a lot of great work that we can learn about in other areas and adapt and apply in other areas and parts of Canada.
These people have lived in these forests, these areas, all this time. Who better to guide us on a sustainable way of living than the people who've shown by their way they live that it's possible? One of the other teachings from our ancestors was that Mother Nature will provide for our needs, but not our greed.
Tribal Parks fosters an economy that is more consistent with the traditional values and principles of which we have successfully managed these lands for thousands of years. Oikos, the word economy, is about the wise and prudent management of the house.
What a great possibility for Canadians that people who've lived in these lands can control them, can continue to use them, but continue to show us what the kind of practices we can have to in fact save the forest for future generations.
Integrating those knowledge systems, Western knowledge systems and science has a lot to offer, but not to the exclusion of Indigenous knowledge systems. And so what we need to find the ways to bring that together, intertwine them, to value them for what they are, not as against one another, not validating one with the other. It's in that metaphor of the braid that I think we all benefit, but it's really the mainstream context that lacks the more profound, the more fundamental understandings that I think need to be brought to bear to deal with the range of environmental crises that we're dealing with.
We're willing to engage in good faith, but we want you to also engage us in good faith. We see this as a great opportunity to demonstrate our relationships and our willingness to progress in Canada in the era of reconciliation. What we're asking for in reciprocity is that you honor us, honor our ancestors, honor our ways of knowing and our ways of protecting and conserving the biodiversity upon which we all depend. We have to maintain the course on our own objectives. In our territories, we're striving for human security, dignity through self-determination, sustainable livelihoods, environmental security, not only for our USMA today, but for our unborn future generations to come.
In this process here, we believe that we can come together, sit together, work together, and find the solution so that we can protect the environment before it is completely destroyed.
This was the first of 4 regional gatherings that we're hosting across Canada. We started in the west. In the second week of June, we're going east to Halifax, where we'll be gathering with the Mi'kmaq and Maliseet peoples of eastern Canada. In late August, early September, we're heading north to Yellowknife, and then we're culminating in Winnipeg towards the end of September, early October, in our final regional gathering, which will also coincide with a national gathering on Indigenous protected and conserved areas.